Surprise, motherfucker. I finally finished Dexter and Dexter New Blood, and now I just want to yap about it because I really adore this franchise and I haven't made a video in a month, so I'm going to do that. Let's start with Dexter. Starting with season 1, I think it's a great introduction, one of the best pilots I've ever seen, and one of the best seasons of any show I've ever seen. All the characters are interesting and the pacing is amazing here, something that later seasons will seriously struggle with. I love the way this season looks, and all the early seasons in general. The grainy look really added to the charm, and later seasons feel like they missed something, and if you ask me, it's this grainy feeling. The twists and turns of this season are so fucking good. Brian Moser being the ice truck killer and Dexter's brother, mwah, chef's kiss. I'm glad that I didn't really, know anything about this show going into it, aside from the base premise, so all the plot twists and turns that I got, really hit me. They weren't spoiled, and I enjoyed them. Tears were shed when Dexter had to kill Brian, I will admit, although I have to agree with those that say that this season would have served better as the plot of the final season, with everything having built up to Brian throughout the whole show. But we ball, you can't always win them. Everything aside, Brian is just so much fun to watch. Flashbacks of Harry are here, and I don't mind them too much. That wanker who played Neil in the US In-Betweeners is also here for some reason. Gladly, he's only here for like a few episodes and then he gets axed off. That final scene of Dexter walking through the crowd is so peak. Surprise, motherfucker, will never not be iconic. Moving on to season 2, and this one carries on the momentum that season 1 started. I can't really remember if there was like a big bad for this season aside from Dokes. Their rivalry is at its peak. You're the Bay Harbor Butcher is like top 10 TV scenes ever. Everyone else here is so fun to watch, and Lundy is one of my favourite side characters. We love Lundy in this house. We forever support Lundy in everything he does, except shagging Deb. Should have been me. All jokes aside, it was a bit weird. Deb gets with Lundy, starting the tradition of her doing nothing but having a new boyfriend every season. Lila is great fun, even if she does fuck up Dexter and Rita's relationship temporarily. Her death felt so cathartic. This season introduced so many new amazing characters, namely Quinn. While this season does a lot of important stuff to progress the show, everyone knows that the most important plot point of the season is Deb's new haircut. Moving on to season 3, and again, that momentum is continued. This thing just doesn't slow down. The big bad of this season, the Skinner, is pretty fucking dead, though. I mean, he really doesn't matter. The real fun bad of this season is the guy, Miguel Prado, played by Jimmy Smits, I think that's his name. And he's fucking killing it. He's having so much fun in this role. I'll do what I want, when I want, to whomever I want. Count on it. Just so much fun to watch. Michael C. Hall is on top of game 2. They said that they would come out. Sorry, that's such a shit Dexter ref fucking impression. Sadly, this season does continue the trope of Deb falling in love with another Johnny. Ghost Harry starts here, and I don't mind him too much. We really start to progress the story here. Dexter having a son and marrying Rita. It's nice to see them stray away from status quo, and I'm sure they won't do anything to try and reverse any of these decisions in later seasons. I'm sure. Moving on to season 4, and Dexter really crescendos here, I can't lie. Michael C. Hall is in peak Dexter mode here. He's better than in season 3, and I thought that was going to be the peak of it. Dex finds himself domesticated, wife, 3 kids, job on all-time high. It puts him in some really fun scenarios. Lundy's back, and he's hunting down John Lithgow's Trinity killer. He's also making Deb all flustered because she can't decide who to fuck, Lundy or the CI from last season, Anton. Arthur Mitchell is a fucking force to watch, man. Definitely the most imposing antagonist, albeit not the most fun to watch. That's going to come later down the line. Season 4 produces some of the most iconic and best episodes of the show. That scene where Dexter realizes Arthur has a family. He's like me. Jaw fucking dropped. The Thanksgiving episode is peak. Arthur really showcases his full scariness here. His whole family is on eggshells around this monster. Dexter having to take him on when he attacks Jonah. I should have fucking killed you when I had the chance. It's just a fucking brilliant episode. And that final, last few episodes, I forget what episode 11 is called, and then The Getaway as well. Hello, Dexter Morgan. That's that scene, bro. The way it's shot, Dexter looking up at Trinity. He's made to look all small in the camera. It's fucking great. He's shitting himself there. It's the first time we seriously see him start panicking. Jeet was quaking. Sorry, I fucking hate saying that, but it's in my script. I mean my Letterboxd review, which I'm basing this off. Season 4 also has some of the saddest things in the show. Lundy's death and all of The Getaway. That's the second time this show reduced me to tears. Rita's death was so sudden, but it worked. Harrison's crying. Dexter's calling Rita before hearing her phone. The fact Dexter gave Trinity a fairly merciful kill when he should have fucking tortured Arthur for Rita, bro. It all felt so unfair, like something had personally been robbed from me. Rita's not even real, but it felt like having my own wife die in front of me. I still cannot look at bathtubs in the same way. I definitely agree with people that say that Arthur maybe should have gotten away at the end of the season, and we could have had the series' best killer in our back pocket for a continued season 5 or something. But I still love season 4 nonetheless. You gotta make do with what you got, and this is fucking brilliant. Moving to season 5, I was apprehensive about season 5 to 8 because of everything I'd heard, but I fuck with season 5. Jordan chasing the barrel girl plotline is so much fun. I love watching Dexter team up with Lumen. At first she seemed way too early to bring in, bro had just lost Rita, but then I saw the ending, Lumen leaving him. She didn't need to kill anymore because she'd gotten rid of chasing his goons. It made her seem like she was a character there for Dexter to process his grief over Rita and not just shag her. That first episode is so peak. Watching Dexter process Rita's death, he goes through all the stages of grief. Although I'm going to admit, felt very rushed. I feel like this should have been like dragged out throughout the whole season. It really would have tied in well with Lumen's whole plot. I mean, we got a two-parter with Boyd Fowler for fuck's sake, but we couldn't have a two-parter or even stretch out Dexter's grieving throughout the whole season. Just felt a bit silly, really. And although Deb is shagging Quinn now, Dexter's writers try to do something original with Deb challenge. Impossible. Quinn starts trying to hunt down Dexter, and that's a fun plot line. Dexter got out of it way too easily, though. Like, him escaping Liddy should have been harder. I mean, Liddy had him basically, like, fucking on ropes. He was in a van, tied up, about to be taken to the fucking police. Quinn on his way, bro. And he just gets out of it like it's nothing. It's kind of stupid. Remember earlier when I said that they wouldn't do anything to go back on the status quo? I lied. They send Asta and Cody away, and it doesn't even fucking matter because Asta comes back later in this season anyway. Finale is peak, though. The wishes are for children monologue send shivers down my spine. And I think Dexter really could have ended well here outside of season 4, if they wanted to. But they didn't. We still have a few seasons to go. And the next season is obviously season 6. Again, this season is great fun. I really don't get people hating on stuff past season 4. I enjoy it all. Character progression happens and all that bollocks, but mostly I want to yap about Travis Marshall. People hate on bro so much, but I love him. Hello Whore is just so fucking funny, man. I love Brother Sam and basically everyone introduced here. Dexter trying to take on some religious values for Harrison is nice too. It creates some interesting scenarios for Dexter. Things get a bit confusing with the Travis plotline. You know, he thinks he's being controlled by Geller, but then imagining him and becoming the sole one in control. Jaw was fucking dropped when they revealed Geller in the freezer, though. I didn't really get it at first, but then I watched the next episode and it made sense, and I thought it was a cool plot twist. I fuck with Dexter finally coming up against someone who also imagines people, given he's imagined Harry this whole, show, and goes on to imagine Deb in New Blood. Dexter also imagines someone else in this season, Biney. My goat, Brian Moser, returns, and his episode is probably in my top 10 of the whole show, to be honest. It's so much fun to watch, and the guy who plays Brian slips right back into the role so well, you wouldn't even notice that it's been half a decade since he last played him. Deb has some drama with Quinn, yawn. The finale here is fucking goated too, with Deb catching Dexter in the act of killing Travis Marshall, and who couldn't love that I'm a father, a son, a serial killer scene. Overall, a brilliant season if you ignore that stuff about Deb fancying Dexter. Season 7 comes next, and I'm going to be honest, if you ask me, this is where Dexter really falls off. It's still watchable, and I still enjoyed them, but I can't deny the drop in quality. Isaac Serco is fun, and so is the whole season. I just don't have much to say about it. It's a bit of a nothing season, up to maybe the last 3 episodes when things suddenly kick into gear. Obviously, Deb has to come to terms with Dexter's double life as the Bay Harbor Butcher, and also kills LaGuerta. That caught me so off guard. I love that plotline coming back, and Deb ignoring all her values for Dexter is so in character. I'm glad the plotline of LaGuerta hunting Dex came back. She obviously wanted revenge for Dokes, and it just feels very in character for someone like LaGuerta to never really let that go. It's handled well, and it even ends decently. Quinn has something with a Russian pimp. It doesn't really matter. Because Deb won't marry him. Yawn, who really cares? Pointless character drama for the sake of character drama. No one really cares. We're here for Dexter, right? We also get the character of Hannah McKay here, and she's a character I love to hate. People just constantly clown her, but I thought she was somewhat fun to watch. But then she goes to prison at the end, so who fucking cares? Pretty nothing season. Definitely the worst and most forgettable of the show, if you ask me. Most enjoyable bit was seeing new Doke scenes at the very end. Season 8 is the last season of the show. We're finally rounding out Dexter, and I have a lot to say on this one, and so do most people who watch the show. And this one has some interesting ideas in the form of characters like Dr. Evelyn Vogel and Zach Hamilton. Sadly, Vogel quickly becomes annoying, and Hamilton gets axed off before they could do anything seriously intriguing with him. The idea that Vogel helped Harry create the code is interesting. I was into it for a while, and eventually her needing to help Dex hunt down the brain surgeon quickly grew stale. Hamilton being someone like Dexter, who he decides to teach the code to, is interesting as well. The dynamics between Dexter and Zach are fun to watch, but sadly the brain surgeon got to him. Oliver Saxon is the most boring, whiny character who really felt like no threat until he was. Him taking out Deb really fucking pissed me off. She was one of those characters who's deserved to live. She obeyed her morals throughout the whole show, only really straying from them to support her brother, and she goes out by a fucking bullet, and Dex unplugging her life support. She got done so dirty. It's not her fault that all she had to do was fuck other guys, bro. The writers did her so dirty this whole fucking show. At least I remember what she said. She asked Dexter to unplug her if she ever became a vegetable, which he did. Hey, continuity, kind of based. But dumping her in the ocean with his victims, yikes. She kind of deserves a better burial. I mean, I know she'd only just rejoined the force, but come on, like, surely, the police would have given her a really decent burial and shit and really nice funeral. Yeah, I get symbolism, but it's still shit. It's a shame because Deb really didn't get much to chew on in this last season. Her character was handled horribly. She tries to kill herself and Dexter because of the guilt from shooting LaGuerta, which is just a small slice from that whole subplot of her losing it and getting addicted to coke and shit. Then Dex sails off into a hurricane and becomes a lumberjack. It's a fucking choice, all right? I really don't know how to feel about it, to be honest. It's definitely a bitter ending, which is warranted for a character like Dexter. He was a fucking monster, even if we do like him, because the show is from his perspective. Tears were shed in that finale. That's 3 times now. Curse you, Dexter showrunners. Everything else gets wrapped up neatly. Hannah takes Harrison to Argentina and all that. I kind of glossed over Hannah's return, but she does come back. It's just like, it's a bit out of nowhere, and, Dexter is in love with her and all that bollocks. I don't mind her character. I know a lot of people fucking despise her, and while the writers do actually insinuate that she's going to poison Harrison when she asks him to get ice cream upon finding out Dexter is dead, that's my only major gripe. She was good for Dex, even if I think that she seemed like the absolute worst for him, aside from Lila. Side characters are left to rot here, and I don't mind it. It's the last season of Dexter. Joey Quinn and characters like that should be largely irrelevant. Granted, Batista has this thing with his restaurant, and his sister Jamie gets some stuff to work with when her friend dies. Gore is at an all-time high here for me, at least. Brain stuff always makes me squirm. I think about something the lead showrunner said about Dexter's finale. He said, it's the finale the show deserved. And I couldn't agree more. For as much as I hate it, I think it was kind of nothing. It's what Dexter deserved and was building to on its downward trend. I'm glad it didn't keep going. Imagine if we got a season 9. Would have been dog shit. So that's Dexter, a show that started fucking brilliantly and spun into a huge franchise, all of which I adore. Then it dipped in quality, absolutely fucking its finale and even final half if you ask some people. If anything, I feel bad for those that stuck with the show for the 8 years that it was actually about, for that mid-finale. But they got a shot of redemption in the form of Dexter New Blood, which is what I'm going to talk about next. Straight off the bat, it's far clearer of season 7 and 8 in my eyes. The style here is oozing everywhere, literally. The season is the most stylistic one since season 1, and in my opinion, I love it, man. The show looks like it's been smeared in Vaseline, and it is a choice, but I enjoy it. Those cool graphics for title cards, loved. The villain here is amazing too. Caldwell clears Isaac Serco and the brain surgeon. I can't believe I was watching Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob do all that, bro. Dexter is back and he's sloppy. Makes sense. He's been out of the game for 10 years. It's nice to see him scramble for solutions to his dark passenger's behavior in his new environment. Deb as the replacement for Ghost Harry is far clear too. Carpenter really portrays a different Deb here, a bitter one who resents Dexter for letting her die, and it makes sense. Dexter always blamed himself for Deb's death, and it's obvious that if he were to imagine her, he'd imagine her pissed and, being annoyed that he let her die and shit. Phantom Deb kind of feels weird in not accepting Harrison having tried to hurt Ethan. It feels like she should have been convincing Dexter and not the other way around. Dexter's biggest fear has always been that Harrison would turn out like him. He should have been in denial. I like all the side characters here. Harrison is great fun too, watching him and Dexter interact. People are complaining about him being a whiny bitch, but I kind of expect that from a homicidal teenager who was abandoned by his dad and lost both his mother figures early in his life. That finale, I loved it. It was really building to something great, and it ended, I don't know, much like the original series. I'm in 2 minds about the finale. On one hand, I love the bitterness, again, and I hate that Harrison axed off his own dad. The final narration, though, tears were flowing, again. People always complain about a small-town cop having caught Dexter, but they seem to miss that it wasn't because she's better than the fucking FBI, it was because of circumstances and Dexter's sloppy cover-ups this season. While I will further yap about the potential for an all-out manhunt for Dexter if Harrison had let him live, and we got a New Blood Season 2, I'm okay with this ending. I like the flashbacks. It was nice to see all the people, like Rita and such, and even that scene of Dexter killing Wiggles. Trinity's flashback just brought more trauma and horror. Actually watching him place Harrison in Rita's blood in a POV shot, fucked up. Overall, Dexter New Blood has a lot to love about it and a lot to hate. People definitely overhate it, even if I do understand why there's some people really do dislike it. Okay, that's like maximum yappage completed. Hopefully it all makes sense. It was very disorganized. Even though I have a script, I'm sort of just like waffling. I'm very excited for Dexter Origins. Final ranking, best to worst. Here we go, quick fire. Season 1, Season 4, Season 2, Season 3, Season 5, Dexter New Blood, Season 6, Season 7, Season 8. This is most definitely going to change at some point, and if it does, I will leave a pinned comment. Yeah, can you like, comment, and subscribe now? It's very fucking hot and my legs are hurting from being cross-legged for like 15 minutes. I'm going to go take a shower now. Bye, gamers.